Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in to examine a fascinating stack of source material surrounding a brand called BK Elio clothing.
Right.
And this isn't your standard apparel company. We're looking at a brand that positions itself not just as fashion, but really as a movement.
A movement, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tied deeply to mindset, to personal transformation.
Exactly.
And that's the key thing we pulled from the sources. They make this really bold claim. They argue that fashion isn't just about what you wear on the outside.
Right.
It's fundamentally about, and this is their quote, who you're becoming on the inside. They say their stuff is built for the dreamers, doers, and overcomers.
It's very deliberate marketing, but what's interesting is how the sources suggest the mission runs, a bit deeper than a slogan.
It does. They're trying to tell a very specific story.
A story of growth, grit, and greatness.
And they're aiming it squarely at visionaries, underdogs, people who see themselves as warriors rising against all odds.
So they're not trying to sell to everybody.
Not at all. They are selling to the person who feels like they are in the middle of a massive personal upgrade.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right? Our mission here for us and for you is to unpack the origin story, the specific language they use.
The brand's DNA, really.
Yeah, the DNA that lets them claim their product, walks with you from struggle to strength, idea to identity. How do you even do that?
How do you turn a personal struggle into a retail product and still have it feel authentic? That's the big question.
It is, because if this was just another graphic tee company, we wouldn't be doing this. So let's start with the origin story, because that's where all the emotional weight comes from. The sources are really clear on this. This was not a brand cooked up in a boardroom. It was born in the real-world struggles of someone who was tired of blending in.
And that context is, it's everything. The sources tell us the founder was going through a profound season of transformation.
In what way?
Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, all of it. And the realization they had was that their clothes, even stylish, expensive clothes, they just felt empty.
Empty how?
They didn't reflect the changes happening on the inside. They didn't reinforce this huge internal project the founder was undertaking.
So it's like they were leveling up their life, but their wardrobe was still stuck on the old version of them.
Exactly. What was missing was resonance. They needed something physical, a tangible reminder of their commitment to change.
Like armor.
Armor for the new identity they were building. And that need is what led to the brand's name, which is, it's like a whole roadmap in itself.
Right. It's not just a random name. It's got two parts, Leo and BK. Let's start with Leo.
The Leo is the lion. Pretty straightforward. It symbolizes strength, power, resilience.
So that's the destination, the future self.
That's the goal, yeah. The person you're going to become.
But then you have BK.
And BK is the foundation. It stands for the legacy, the backbone, the story before the glory.
So it's an acknowledgement of the hard parts.
The struggle, the past that forged your current strength. The whole power of the name is in that tension, You have to honor the BK to really earn the LEO.
I do wonder, though, does constantly referencing the struggle risk, pulling you backwards? How does it stay a positive, forward-looking thing?
Well, the way it's framed, it's not about reminding you of pain. It's about appreciating the process. The sources say the brand is for those who are building something more themselves.
People who are in the thick of it.
Yes. People actively working on progress every single day.
Yeah.
If you ignore the backbone, the BK, then the strength, the LEO, it can feel, unearned. Maybe even fake.
So by combining them, the clothing becomes a symbol of an earned transformation.
Exactly. You're an active participant in your own evolution.
That idea, that connection between an internal process and an external product, brings us right to their core concept, wearable motivation. This is where it stops being just fabric and starts becoming a psychological tool. They call it wear your mindset.
And what's really fascinating is how carefully the messages are calibrated. They go way beyond just generic inspirational quotes.
So we're seeing patterns in the messaging.
Oh, yeah. We found 3 clear genres of messages, and each one serves a really distinct self-improvement purpose.
Okay, so what's the first one?
The first is what I'd call internal affirmation. It's all about belief and self-assertion. Things like built different or building my best self.
So those are for the person looking in the mirror.
Totally. It's like a constant internal pep talk, reinforcing that choice to keep going.
And then there's the second type, which feels more external. They're way more assertive. I'm thinking of restricted access, authorized only.
Yes. Or fearless to the bone. Nothing breaks me.
Those are statements to the outside world.
Absolutely. That restricted access one is a clear boundary. It's for someone who's learned they have to protect their focus, their energy, their time.
So it's like saying my transformation is proprietary.
I love that. Yeah. It speaks directly to that need for focus when you're trying to do something difficult.
But they also seem to acknowledge that it's not always easy. It's not all just success and affirmations.
No, and that's the third and maybe the most important genre. Resilience, self-reliance.
The error 404.
Yes.
Yeah.
Error 404, path not found, create your own.
Yeah.
If they only offered messages about winning, it would feel hollow, generic.
Right.
By putting that message out there, they're acknowledging that transformation involves failure, it involves detours. It tells you that uncertainty isn't a dead end.
It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to create.
So the whole point isn't just to look good. It's to have this constant physical reminder of an internal commitment.
Precisely. You don't just see it on a screen. You feel it on your skin. You see it in the mirror multiple times a day. It's an external anchor to an internal choice.
Which is why they say it's for people who wake up every day and choose to move with purpose.
Exactly. The act of getting dressed becomes this intentional declaration of who you are and where you're going.
That intentionality leads us right into the BK Leo tribe. If this is all about a self-selected identity, who are the people actually drawn to this?
Well, the sources break the tribe down into three very distinct, very relatable groups. And it's not by income or location.
It's by mindset.
It's by their state of being, their trajectory. The dreamers, the doers, and the overcomers.
So let's break those down. Who are the dreamers?
The dreamers are the ones just launching that first idea. They're right at the beginning, still gathering the courage, the resources. They need that first push of affirmation.
And the doers.
The doers are the grinders. They're past the idea phase. They're working on that passion project after their 9 to 5 is over. They need that reminder that consistency is everything.
And finally, the overcomers.
These are the people who have been through it. They've survived serious hardship, loss, heartache, and they're still standing.
Still moving forward.
Yeah. For them, the clothing is like a badge of honor for their resilience.
That's an incredibly specific target because it speaks to that feeling of being unseen, underestimated, or stuck in a version of yourself that no longer fits.
Right.
The core function is emotional. It's a physical sign that says, you're evolving.
And that emotional resonance, that qualitative success, it's backed up by the numbers we saw. The brand says they have over 12,000 happy customers.
Okay, but the really compelling stat is the recommendation rate.
A massive 91% of customers say they'd recommend the brand.
For a fashion brand, 91%. I mean, that's not just about good fabric. That points to a deep emotional connection.
It means the customer feels the product is actually helping them. The ROI isn't the shirt, it's the feeling of progress.
And the community voices we found, the quotes, they just reinforce that. We have one from a Marcus J. who says, wearing BK Leo clothing reminds me every day that I'm not who I used to be.
It's a statement of ongoing transformation every single day.
And then Daniel K. says something similar. Each time I put on a hoodie, it feels like I'm reminding myself of how far I've come.
See, that changes what the product is. It's not just clothing anymore. It's an archive of your personal history and a projection of your future all at once.
Which brings us to this final idea, this concept that it's more than apparel.
It moves beyond being a product and becomes a psychological strategy. The sources call the brand a mirror for who you're becoming.
And this is where it gets really different from normal retail. They don't just sell you a hoodie, they give you a prescription for how to wear it.
They're telling you how to use the clothing, not just for style, but to remind yourself of your progress, your power, your purpose.
They're turning it into a tool for goal visualization.
And that's all wrapped up in this final instruction they give. Wear it like your mind map.
So what does that actually mean, to wear your clothes like a mind map?
It's a whole structured process they encourage you to follow. It's really quite brilliant.
Okay, let's break that process down. What are the steps?
First, the abstract. Think big. You have to define that huge, audacious goal.
The destination.
Right. Then it gets practical. Start small. Break that big idea into manageable daily actions. And that's where the affirmations on the clothes come in, as that daily check-in.
And after starting small, you have to make progress. The clothes are that reminder to stay on track.
Which then leads to achieving your personal goals. And then ultimately, it culminates in this really lofty ideal they set.
To change the world.
To change the world.
Yeah.
They provide this whole framework, the mind map, and then they integrate their product directly into it as a functional daily cue.
So the clothing isn't just incidental, it's an active part of the plan.
It uses the simple, repetitive act of getting dressed to reinforce these huge abstract goals.
And the source material kind of closes out with this one final thought that sums it all up.
Yeah, that fashion isn't about fitting in.
It's about standing out because you're standing in your truth.
And that really encapsulates the whole deep dive, doesn't it? We've looked at a brand born from personal struggle, defined by internal transformation.
Yeah. Designed with these very specific messages that act as daily affirmations for people who are, dedicated to building their best self.
It's just a remarkable example of how a commercial product can be consciously engineered to be more than just a thing you buy. It becomes an investment in your own story.
The transaction becomes psychological, not just retail.
It really does. We've seen how BKLEO taps directly into that desire for growth and uses a garment as a physical anchor for abstract goals like grit and resilience.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to think about today. If the whole point of this clothing is to be a constant mind map for your future goals,
Your personal power.
what other everyday mundane items, maybe the first thing you touch in the morning or the last thing you see at night, could you redesign or, I guess, reprogram?
Not for its original function, not for style, but purely as a personal reminder.
A reminder of your power, your purpose, and the transformation you are actively in the middle of.
Think about what your own wearable motivation would look like.
Until next time, keep digging deeper.